This production is supported using public funding by Arts Council England. Welcome to another episode of the Bhandwagon Podcast. And traditionally, I've always done a lot of the podcast kind of online. I've mixed it up with live production. So those two things will always continue. Unfortunately, with international guests, I ain't earning enough money to fly them over yet, or they ain't earning enough money to fly me over, really. So it will always continue, and just making sure that it's accessible content for everyone who wants to listen and chooses to listen. But I've always been an advocate of people giving me a chance, and also others giving chances out around. And I think as a community, when we're talking around podcasts as a newer form in its genre, but also particularly within the South Asian community, it's a really new wave. And so I always keep a eye out. And if you do follow the podcast, you've seen I've always embraced other podcasters coming out. But my guest today run the Mic Cheque podcast, and I really predict big things for these guys. It's powered by Frequency DJs. Navi and Anuj have kindly joined on the podcast today, and I think you guys would pretty connect well with these, because they do with me. They resonate quite well. I really love the format in terms of how they do this stuff. I love the topic, the conversations, and plus they've always got the frequency, the badge behind them as well. So that's always a as a bonus.
Always, man. Always got a rep. Man. Thank you.
No,
For the kind
appreciate you
words,
having us on, man. Appreciate you having us on. This was a pleasure when you reached out. We were real humbled by it. We've been having real fun kind of doing this podcast. When it first started, it was just two guys who were friends, and we're like, why not? We entertain people for a living. Why don't we try to put it online? And then we were pleasure enough to like have some fun with this, hopefully have some success with this. And I always think, I'm like, worst case, the minimum for us. Like, worst case is we're gonna have some fun. Like, we're gonna have some fun, and as this goes, like, hopefully some other people can have some fun with us, and that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you so much for the amazing introduction, man. I've obviously been following your podcast for a minute, so I was shocked when you said you reached. When Navi said you reached out to us. I thought Harv or maybe Jazz, one of the Kudos boys, put you up to us, but I really appreciate that you found us organically, man.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
It,
sure.
yeah, it's I think it's one of those things where sometimes I think now it gets harder and harder if you've got an opinion, and you put that opinion out, because everyone's just waiting to kind of basically record your opinion, have it there, clip it up. So if you say something wrong about 5 years time, they've always got this clip to kind of hit you over the head with it and say, this is what you did. And I think nowadays it's becoming harder to do that. But when I looked at your podcast, and I want you to just tell me a little bit about it, how it came up, because it's I think you do it a little bit injustice, really, because when you were talking about that it was just two friends, there's a difference when you've got two friends just having a conversation via WhatsApp or face to face. And then when you stick a camera and a microphone in someone, it changes the dynamic, that energy, that relationship, that frequency, forgive the pun, actually changes. But it seems like you kind of bring the same energy and conversation in front of the mic in terms of what I would imagine off the mic. And I think that's a very unique thing for me to kind of pick up on that. Is that fair?
Yeah, you know what?
Okay.
Yeah, you want to go first? Take ahead.
No, what I was going to say is actually really interesting. Like, these are not our MC voices. These are our normal voices day to day. When we first started the podcast, I think on our first recording, first episode, we had the MC voices kind of going, and we realized that wasn't real, because when we're in front of stage, be it a gala, be it a wedding, whatever event, we have those. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Those kind of voices. That's not real life. That's not organic. That's not how we talk to each other. That's not how we roast each other. Like, we started the podcast actually as an interview-based kind of wedding industry thing. For the first couple of episodes, we had, of course, Frequency Zone Jay Static on, mega producer, all that, and we realized we're not ready for that at this point. People need to get to know us. They need to know Navi Rai and Anuj Deer, not MC Anuj D and MC Navi Rai. So yeah, I think we're getting better and better. Our last episode was, I think, fire. We just uploaded that a couple of days ago. And yeah, man, Navi, what do you have to add?
No, yeah, for sure, dude. I think that proverb or the saying that goes of like 10,000 hours of practice. So we're in front of mics more than an average human being. And I think that's why it kind of seems organic and why it was more of a natural transition for us is Anuj has been emceeing longer than I have. I've been doing stand up, I think, just as long. So like we've been behind a microphone for about the same amount of time. And for other people where a mic is daunting or it's a task to learn, for us it was more so of just like what do we talk about and how do we shift this entertainment for like a visual platform and an audible platform. And then I think, and we've talked about it more so, is the learning process for us with the camera, where it was
Yeah.
like we feed off light of energy. And still to this day, like, yo, man, you put me in front of a live audience, put Anuj in front of a live audience, and we feel more comfortable than we do in front of the camera, or even in this situation, doing our first Zoom kind of situation vis-a-vis, right? And like you said, like, we don't got the money yet to fly people out. Like, later down the line, don't forget about us when you get too big. I'm just saying, bring us back
For
on.
sure, for sure.
We'll do
I'm
this
saying
in
it
the
the other way
UK
around.
or whatever.
That's why I'm catching you on. I'm catching you early, so you get me on the other side, especially if I come
Oh,
visit.
don't worry, you're coming. We'll you get to that level. That's no problem. You're gonna be in Toronto. We'll show you the sites. We'll have some fun
Absolutely.
with it. But yeah, I think that's how it goes. I think the reason, and honestly, thank you so much for the compliments that we seem to be natural in front of it is just the practice, the hours. Like, hey, other guys who start their podcast, they have to start from ground zero. And we're lucky enough that our jobs and our professions as being party MCs and stand-up comedian for myself is I don't mind it. The microphone doesn't adjust. If anything, like I always joke around is like MCs, we got big mic energy. Whatever we get the mic, it's more like, okay, this is where I'm at home. I feel better and I feel more comfortable. And the thing to adjust was for like the no audience, honestly, for us. And that's probably been the biggest learning curve because when you got like people cheering or like even somebody like heckle me, say something, right? I had a guy yell out this weekend about the bar being closed at one of the weddings I was hosting. And I was just like, sounds like you got a drinking problem or something. He just slipped out, right? Just the natural rapport with the guy sitting in the corner. People
Jeez.
laughed. And that like
Right.
natural energy, I don't got that here. Like I gotta feed off a new gym just to feed off me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah. I kind of I agree in what you're saying because sometimes you see a lot of the kind of popular podcasters. It's not necessarily kind of a self out kind of talking one. I think the best one that I think is Theo Von,
Yeah.
where he's just got him a camera and he's just riffing constantly. And I was lucky to see him about a month ago. He came to the UK, and
Nice.
sometimes you see people who are good podcasters, and when you see the stand up, it's absolutely terrible. Um, he actually brought the same energy on that way, and it was pretty good. So that skill is just having that one-to-one is difficult, but when you got somebody there to bounce off, that really makes a difference as well at the same time. How question is then, how would you best describe the South Asian podcast scene in North America?
I would say it's growing and growing. Anuj, who's the guy who just signed the Spotify deal? I'm terrible with
Oh man,
names.
I always forget his name too. He's from what?
Um,
Vancouver.
yeah, he's from BC. We just ran
Farm
into him at the
something?
Diljit after party.
Oh, you did. Yeah, I
Dang.
was there.
Yeah, oh yeah, but damn, that guy's killing it. Young dude. He's like 20, 21. Sardar, he's like a really funny cat, really funny kid.
Yeah.
And his I saw recently he brought like this OnlyFans, I think, like Indian girl from the States, and a bunch of like content creators that are South Asian, and they're doing like a dating kind of thing
Yeah,
via
yeah, I saw
Zoom,
that went
like
viral on like
the Tinder
TikTok.
or whatever. And I was like, yo, that's so funny. Like, right, you brought an Indian girl that's in that space that's more open to that kind of stuff because we're pretty conservative culture. But to find a girl like that, who actually she was really funny too. I'll give her that on that as well. And then there's the girls from Edmonton. Those girls are really popular. And again, I'm so bad with
Coaches don't
names.
play or something?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Oh
Coaches don't
man,
play. Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
I can't go on a date with a girl who's Indian
Yeah,
right now, and they find out what I do. That's the first thing that comes up. Coaches don't play. Shout out to them because their clips
yeah.
go viral. I see them all over social media, and honestly, I love their fresh perspective on things. It's very much, and I think, and I see that trend is the South Asian podcasts that are willing to not be so conservative. Talk
Yeah.
about the that don't talk about stuff, right? Like the Indian culture, South Asian are very like, don't talk about it, be reserved, this and that. And if you are wilding out, it's not on a public platform. Like you're like, cool, we're gonna go to the club, cool, we're gonna hit like wild out at a wedding, but we're not putting it online, kind of thing, right? And I think these ones that keep getting more and more successful are the ones that are like, let me toe the line, cross the line.
But is that
And
is
even
that is that good though? Because in terms of where there's a difference here, where is it a natural opinion or is it just controversial just to get the views?
So we can't speak
I
for
think,
them, right? But
yeah,
Yeah,
what we've noticed as we've gone through our episodes now, and we're like 100 behind you, so don't worry. Um,
wicked. It's all
but
right, man.
especially in the last one, we were pretty controversial, to be completely honest. Obviously, go check that out. We talked about politics, we talked about Trump, Kamala Harris, and of course our own funny characters here in Canada as well, and the fact that we needed an election here as well. So we were pretty controversial. I've talked about personal stories as well. I think we were more reserved in the first few episodes. Even the episodes with Jay Static, we had to cut some information out based on some artist feedback.
right.
So we'll show you those. We'll show you those clips
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Yeah,
when
that's a
once it's
that's a not online
But
kind of thing.
that
yeah, not online.
I think you just hit a really good point there, Anuj, because like sometimes even when you do a podcast and you've got somebody in, the as soon as the record button goes off, they come out with the gold right there.
Yeah,
The director's cuts versions that I could put on my podcast will get people in jail, sued. It's horrific because there's always still that guard there in terms of what somebody wants to say.
yeah,
But it also comes
For
down
sure. I
to
think,
your style.
yeah, I think, and that's why I think our favorite word on the podcast is allegedly.
yeah.
Like we
Very
say
important.
allegedly all the
Yeah,
time. We're like, no lawsuits, no nothing. We're like, allegedly, this is what we
I don't
heard.
think you did during the Diddy
Allegedly.
episode.
First of all, he
during
did
the
that shit. No, man, that's why.
oh yeah.
Bro,
Did
the
that shit.
video's out. I can, I like,
Yeah,
even if I did say allegedly, then the video came out like right after that episode. We're like, get
Yeah.
out of here. But no, the case of like, I think you're right in the sense some people do say things for shock value, but I think that's pretty easy to see through. Or if that's
yeah,
your brand, like me personally, I think the stuff that we did cut even early on was me figuring out a balance. Because like as the comic, like in a news can attest, sometimes I just like I even messaged him before this. I was like, bruh, we need a signal or something whenever we do these digital ones because I'm realizing you're not there live to like cut me off. Because sometimes
nah,
I'm
it's all
just
good.
I have like this like there's no like real censor sometimes going for me because the joke comes. I'm not trying to be offensive or do shock value. Just I guess writing jokes for like a decade, it just comes and then it just I blurt it out and we're on a mic and I get heated or whatever about something. Those are the ones early on where I was like, I felt like it was for shock value from the things I would say. And I was like, that's why we were cutting it. I'm like, you know what? I don't like that. Like, it's not really for what we're trying to do. Sure, it might be like clickbait or whatever, but I think
Yeah,
we can just do more episodes and we'll get better at it and organic. And I think that's what has happened. And there are some of these guys where you can ask Anuj, I'm probably the least, sorry, social media aware guy outside of what we do. Like do it for work, but like he'll be like, "Yo, did you hear about this Indian guy?" I'm like, "No." Did you hear about this group of girls? No idea. Please fill me in. Send me a link so I seem educated when we're on camera. Or he'll do it on purpose to bring it up live on camera so I can have like a blatant reaction. Um, and
And
he
that's for
like
me,
he
yeah.
like he pokes me with it, and I'm like, "That's fine. That's good entertainment. My natural reaction."
yeah,
But
and
yeah,
that's a good
I
point.
think yeah, I think the balance is what we're looking for. Like you find sometimes you do have to do entertainment in this kind of space and saying something ridiculous is fine. But as long as you're saying it, you generally mean it, or you're saying it as a joke instead of just being like raging on the clickbait constantly. Because I'm not a big fan of that as entertainment in any form.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with Navi.
Mm.
I think like the audience will come. Obviously, we're very small right now. We just started. We have to do a lot more as well. Episodes. We have a very random schedule. There's no set schedule right now. I think we've done 6, 7 episodes. We have something scheduled coming up in the next few weeks. But even me personally, when I'm watching, like you said, Theo Vaughn, Rogan, those natural conversations are always better. And when you come with a perspective of either being inquisitive or actually some knowledge, like when it comes to sports, mostly Navi defers to me, right? Because I'm the sports guy. Sports is my life. But and then there's other stuff, movies and songs and all that pop culture stuff is all Navi. So it's more he's an expert in one area, I'm an expert in another area, and we bounce ideas off of each other.
How would you best describe the podcast for somebody who's just listening to you for the first time? What would somebody kind of expect when they're listening to you guys?
I would say informative opinions kind of thing, and then we allow it to live in the world of our lens kind of thing is as we see issues come up. So just like a lens of people who were South Asian but grew up in the Western culture, instead of like some of these podcasts, and they're great for what it is sometimes I can't relate to them because they're too South Asian in that balance of like, I'm like, that's not the life I live, right? Maybe they grew up in India or somewhere else in the world where certain cities have different cultural impacts, right? Like we'll meet people all the time in the wedding industry. They fly in to attend one of our weddings, and they're just like, we should be more similar, but we're not, right? And but like I would see those podcasts are more for those guys, is they grew up in a space where it wasn't as westernized. But for us, it's like this weird balance. Like I always say, people from the UK and people from Toronto get along the best, right? We have such a like yes and no. I know what you're saying,
Diljit's thinking about
but
that one.
but in the sense of like whenever I run into Mandem, whoever from the UK,
The Mandem.
it's true,
Bro.
yo. And because of that culture, we have both Toronto and London have heavy Caribbean influences, right? The people like when we talk about like Caribbean food, Jamaican life, doing Carabana every year, that's something me and Anuj have done. And when I run into someone from the UK, same thing, right? The slang we use, Mandem, all that kind of stuff. We say that as well, right? It's more popular from UK, obviously, like shows and stuff, Top Boy, all that kind of stuff. It's very apparent that it comes from UK, but that's natural for us. We're not trying to copy. We're not trying. We just have a big Caribbean influence here, and we lean into it. We grew up with these guys in high school and stuff like that, right? So we have that connection.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the original topic of like what our podcast is, it's just guys like us, like you yourself, like who grew up having like an immigrant parent, maybe like I don't know if you're first, second generation, but like seems like when we're watching your podcast, like I understand like your perspective and your mindset on things, and I'm like, cool, that's why I can watch it and sit there and send it back. And it kind of seems the same way when you're watching us, is we can do that, and then that way somebody who might be an immigrant or something still might relate to us because they're South Asian, but somebody who's not South Asian at all, black, white, Asian, whatever they are, they can tune in, and outside the like specific Punjabi stuff, like when we're talking about like Diljit or weddings or whatever, when we're joking around about like Diddy or whatever, like they get it and they can like vibe with us. Or maybe disagree. Let me disagree. Be a troll. I don't care.
I think sometimes when the reason why I looked up was I went Toronto and Vancouver both last year, and I always and my experience of it is I always find them in a space, in a piece of time from where the UK was and where I fit.
Absolutely.
So when I went to Toronto, it was a Square One festival or something that was happening. Red FM was putting it on. And I went there, and it was just so many young students, like ridiculous amount of young students within there, and that reminded me of a part of Birmingham where predominantly where it's younger South Asian students there, and so I could you adapt and you could fit into that side. When I went into Vancouver, I was like in downtown. I know downtown is very much different to if you're going to Surrey or wherever, but those represent. I can relate Bhangra to them places a little bit because I could see where artists were all hanging around, conversations. But the one thing that I always find the consistency is, especially with like producers, I can't tell. I haven't worked out the filters yet of between Toronto and Vancouver. They're very similar, even kind of music styles for me as an external. I don't know. I am still working out the differentiation. I still can't work out where somebody's from. Normally in the UK, when it came to Bhangra, especially, you could tell by the sound where a producer was from, whether they were Midlands based or the London based. You could always tell that difference. I can't work that out with you guys at the moment because I don't think we've got the UK market anymore. I think the power shift went to a Canadian kind of area. But then I think that's changed now to just the whole world market now, especially when you've seen Karan and Diljit pushing where they're going. I think they've
So we
actually
claim
destroyed
Karan, though. You
markets.
know that, right?
Say
We
that again.
claim Karan. We claim KaranAujla, though, right? He won an award in Canada. So I know you're saying Indian, and he
Hang
definitely
on, he
is
won a
breaking into
TikTok
that
award.
popular.
Is it because he won a TikTok award?
Yeah, he won an
Yeah,
award
but it
in
was at
Canada.
it was at our like largest like Western music thing. It was a social media award, yeah,
Billboard
for
awards,
votes.
basically. Yeah.
The Juno Awards, but it was big that he performed
That's it.
there.
Juno.
And then AP performed there, I think, the year before.
Yeah.
But he was the first one to win an award, which was just like wild. And to your point of like when you came here and you saw like the young students, that's not even like a world we relate to, which is really funny.
Yeah.
Because that's like a trend of like the last like 8 years where our immigration opened
Not
up.
even, man. Post-COVID, it's been
Yeah,
this
post-COVID has been wild
crazy.
for sure. But yeah, yo, dude, it's just like one of those things is that's not, they have their own like ecosystem here in the world because there's so many of them, students and these first guys, and they're living life like hard, right? You know, they're getting the cars, living in the houses. It's not something we really relate to, and you'll hear on the podcast me go off multiple times because we just have like bad interactions with these guys or whatever,
His
whether it
Uber
be at
rating
parties.
is going down every
Oh, God, it's
episode.
fine, whatever. I don't care, man. I say the truth, but they're not all bad. Like I never say that. It's always the small percentage of the masses that make you look bad, right? They're doing the stuff. They're the ones going viral. Most of them are here to learn and have a good time. But when we were growing up, let's say early 2000s to like mid 2010s, like 2015, 2016,
Yeah.
like it was such a modern Indian vibe. Like everything here was like so progressive. And I think I always say this trend wise, whether it be weddings in our lifestyle or even like the music scene, like you alluded to, the reason that like it becomes so predominant here is because it's just insane population density.
Yeah.
Like such, even if you take the students out, I think outside of India, Toronto is the biggest South Asian market as a density. And then it's I think second, third is South Hall, Surrey kind of thing, you know, like, but like even that, it's still a big percentage lower. So I think what has happened is that because there's so many people like tightly packed together, being influenced by the same music, culture, lifestyle, it's produced that thing, produced this like wave of music, of trends kind of thing coming out of North America, which is really cool, specifically Canada.
Yeah.
When it comes to music, at least my ear isn't fully musically attuned, but sometimes I feel like I can hear the difference between producers more so because we grew up on West Coast hip hop versus East Coast hip hop, and I feel like that's what these guys are influenced by.
So
So
they're
if that
still
producer is
holding back
more,
to those traditions, isn't it? From a hip
yeah,
hop
so like because
perspective,
that kind of fusion of like Punjabi
hip
hip
hop.
hop kind of thing is the trend right now, and guys like Johnny Nothing from BC, very West Coast, like everything he does. Like I remember even when he came out with was it Drip, and it was a Dre sample, right? So it was like, all right, cool. Like this guy has to be West Coast, right? Whereas in the producers on the East Coast kind of thing, you still hear more of like the East Coast hip hop vibes. That I know, like guys like Jay Sack and all these guys in conversations with them, they're fans of all types of hip hop. But he did music production school in New York City, right? He had some of the most predominant like hip hop producers, influencers that he was a big fan of as teachers, and then he's a big fan of like South hip hop, which is again its own
trap music.
like trap, like it's just like this own thing, right? And that's the only time I think we can differentiate it. Where instead of just like hip hop for us, it was like there was like battles, like who's better, Pac or Biggie? Who's like that's such a thing that we grew up with, the arguments, the schoolyard arguments. So I think maybe that's why for our ear, sometimes we can hear where these guys are from. But
No,
overall,
for
I
sure.
feel
Like
like
in Intense,
the trend is
right? All those guys are around the West Coast in Vancouver. They definitely have a West Coast flair. The newer guys, I don't think like I could differentiate. Obviously, we all know Jazzy B's out there in on the West Coast, but you can't tell in his music. It's more of the newer modern stuff, right? The APs, the Intense, Cut-ins, all those guys from there. Whereas, like, rest in peace, Musiala, when he was here, we all knew that was East Coast, straight East Coast music. You know what I mean?
East Side Flow is still one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
You know what's up?
What you know what there's kind of like 3 or 4 kind of areas I want to kind of discuss. What's your opinion? Like we can live in a bubble within here, and I live in a very smaller bubble within that in terms of my favorite kind of genre of music, Punjabi hip hop, Bhangra style, or whatever it may be, is kind of dying out now. Within the UK, you're hearing songs being made without less and less dol or dumbi. It's just becoming full kind of, let's say, Western music within it. And I'm getting more and more of a kind of a niche bubble within it. What's your opinion of both of you guys, of what the situation now is, it within the industry, within North America, and the industry kind of worldwide?
Take it away, man.
Yeah, so my opinion on this is, in our Punjabi industry, there's not enough danceable music, and we noticed that at our receptions, right? All of our DJs, obviously KSR being, KSR and DJM, who's one of your fans as well. He
Oh,
listens to your
respect.
podcast. He'll let me know. They make amazing soul mixes to all these songs to make them danceable. Otherwise, they're good. Like Karan has all these songs, AP has all these songs, but you can't play them at like between 9:30 and 12, right? When the elderly guests are still there, because they're not danceable. Yeah, after when everyone's drunk and it's the youngsters, quote unquote, all good. But a lot of the new music, the unfortunate part, outside of Diljit, I would say, a lot of the new music or the more popular music is very hard to dance to in like a wedding reception setting.
So you're
So
seeing the music in terms of not necessarily as an audience person to kind of relax. You're seeing the music in terms of what your work is, your how you
it's
utilize it.
right? Like it's 50 events a year, so we hear it every weekend,
Mm.
and it's the same songs, and we know what they're gonna play next. Mostly, not even if it's a frequency DJ, if it's another DJ in the city of Toronto, we have a lot of good DJs out here as well. But that's my perspective, right? Especially now that we're in the heart of wedding season, I'm hearing the same stuff every weekend, and I don't think there's enough good danceable music. Like one of the questions we always get when we have, and Navi can relate to this, what's a good entrance song for the couple? Last year, I think I heard Vibe 47 of the 50 entrances because it was the only good song to enter to, right? Unless they got a custom mix from one of the DJs.
I bet we have the same answer for the same entrance song for this
Yeah.
year. Like for a fact, and it's one of M's mixes. It's 100%.
Oh, winning speech.
Wait, no, see, I was gonna say forever. Never mind.
Forever or winning speech. Yeah, yeah. And they're both
Yeah.
DJM mixes. Yep, absolutely.
No, but yeah, so I feel like when we were growing up, just like especially like the UK scene when it was big blowing up, Dr. Zeus, all these guys when we're coming up, the trend was that these DJs, whether it be KSR or whoever, I remember APS, those guys, like when they were making those mixes, it would be like the real folk song, whether
Yeah.
it be Gurdasman or whoever, like the song was coming from, and then a hip hop beat was their mix.
Mm.
Now it's like, here's this Punjabi song that's Punjabi hip hop, and here's a dole mix, right? It's completely flipped, where you don't, it's like the inverse of what we grew up with, because back then it was like all these songs are danceable, right? Maybe you have to speed it up, but you wouldn't be like, oh, we have to really change the composition as much. Where is it now? 100%. I used to say it all, like R.I.P. Sidhu, love him to death, but there was a time like right before he passed, like a year before he passed, where we were like, bruh, I have all these songs memorized to like a mind-numbing level, because it was just like people keep coming to like request them, and we're just like, that's not like you're singing it, you're not dancing. We would see everybody on the dance floor just like singing it at each other. I'm like, nobody's moving. Y'all are karaoke time right now, which is fine. Which is fine if that's how you enjoy yourself. But like, if you're not dancing, you're like, I used to be a punker dancer. For me, the beat is so important, the style, right? Like songs like Sony Pablo level, like those kind of like Bodli Pani, those still bang. Those came out in like 2008, right? Tarti Hildi, all the old Miss Pooja tracks, like those still run at weddings and parties because they're so danceable.
It's like
And the only person
80%
keeping
of
that
the
alive is
playlist.
Diljit.
Yeah, 80% of the playlist, even in the UK, hasn't changed for nearly 20 years.
There's the base level of like what you play, and then every year there's like 2 or 3 songs that get sprinkled in, right? Like it just, for what's going on, like what's popular, like whatever's popular, still people want to hear it in that moment, but doesn't mean it's going to have viability in like 5 years.
Whose fault's that then? Whose fault's that?
I don't think it's a fault. I think it is, again, it's just like people always want to change, right? Just like hip hop wasn't the same when we were growing up as it is now. Like I can't stand a lot of modern hip hop. It's just not my thing. Maybe a couple songs a year, right? I'm more into country music lately. Like it's just what it is. it's a change, right? People they want to change, but that change doesn't necessarily, it's not a bad thing. It's just not danceable music as much. It's not meant for bungalow moves. It's not meant for that hype thing. And it's great because when you're driving in your car, you're not going to be listening to those old school bangers all the time. When you're in your car, you can play the AP, you can play the Sidhu, you can play the car, and you can play even some of those slower Diljit songs, and it works for a drive. Always works for a
Yeah.
drive. But on the dance floor, honestly, Diljit's the only one that consistently puts out those kind of bangers because he'll throw in a folk track or something like every couple of albums. He'll throw in like one or two that are like, this is a banger regardless. Karan does it sometimes, but I think Diljit's he has his finger on the pulse of what's going on, and that's why he's who he is right now. Songs like Metal that came out this year, very like old school track. I love to hear something like that come out. But yeah, I don't think it's a fault. I think it's just people get tired of hearing the same stuff, and trends catch, right? And then um, in 10 years, we might be talking about how maybe there's a more of an instrumental resurgence because it's just like people are tired of hearing the hip hop stuff.
Yeah.
I think we get tired of it faster because we're in the industry and we hear these songs more often than anybody else.
Yeah.
I don't say sick of. I love the music and that's why we love what we do. But it's definitely one of those things where we notice that we get tired of songs faster than an average person because of that reason. It's just like we're just like, cool. Heard it 10 times tonight on full blast next to my ear.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm done. Like I drive home in silence at the end of the night. Like let nobody bother me.
Beautiful, beautiful. And do you think it's like is it's hard to kind of pin the fault of why this happened, like, exactly what kind of Navi just said, but is the talent in North America drying up now, or is it exploding?
Oh, I
I'd say
think there's a lot
exploding.
of exploding. Yeah, there's a lot of talent, a lot of talented producers. Navi right now, if you notice, is in one of our frequency studios there at HQ, and like let them know there was already some artists there today. There's a lot of super talented producers, a lot of singers. We're very lucky that we get to hear a lot of stuff that never comes out. I have some songs that I love from one of our boys, Prodigy, aka Zoraro. I've heard these songs. I'm like, yo, put them out. I'll pay for the video. They're so good. But JJ always says he has J Static so much unreleased music on his hard drive. There's a lot of talent, but I think the whole record company thing, even though everyone's trying to be independent, it's just difficult for music to come out. Like,
Yeah, rights is
there's
a big
certain,
thing I
yeah,
hear.
exactly, yeah,
Rights are a big
rights
thing, man. Like
and the beats, right? One of the hip
Universal
hop
has
beats,
this, and this guy owns
yeah,
the lyrics for this, and this guy owns this. You have to get
Or
everybody.
so is that an emerging issue over there, because it's kind of sorting it. I think it within the UK now. Interesting, you kind of raise it up. A lot of the old school bands, or earlier artists thought they had their rights kind of taken care of, but they've been bought by a third party and it's gone into different places, and they thought they were getting paid owed, thousands, if not tens of thousands. Is that somewhat similar from what you think? I'm trying to pick.
I wouldn't say like I think the artists out here, again, it's always beneficial to be the next generation. Like UK was the solid foundation for Western Punjabi music. Um, and that whole DJH era, I loved it. Like again, that's when I was doing punker. I loved it. Like it was always bangers on bangers coming out. And I think just in the sense of like they they got some lessons taught to them that they didn't want. They're missing out on like rights and masters. And I think the guys out here, they're a little bit more conscientious of it because they hear the horror stories. But because they're more conscientious, they don't put the music out as fast. Back then, it's like,
yeah,
cool, but these guys are unaware that they're losing rights and stuff like that. So they're just pumping out the tunes. When a guy catched fire, he would just be like, all right, putting out 3 albums in the next like 3 years.
Mm.
But then now in hindsight, he lost masters, whatever the case may be. Whereas in guys out here, they're like, I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to deal with this. Or this guy's the rights to this. I'm not gonna say who, but there's a guy we're very close to, singer, and I think 6 songs on the shelf. We've seen like the music videos, and I think 3 or 4 are out. But it's because of the
yeah.
label. He was just like, bro, like there's nothing I can do. It's out of my hands. Like if
And
I
not
want
even
to
the
be
label; it's more the
paid
distributor, right?
accordingly, a
If
distributor,
someone
sorry.
if someone figures it out, yeah, yeah, not too
Yeah,
hard to figure
whatever.
out.
No, but like like it's more so the sense of like um they're careful because they're trying to protect their thing in the
Yeah,
moment. Whereas in now the UK guys they're trying to have to protect this stuff in hindsight. The benefit for these guys is in the moment you're protected, but they can't put music out as fast as the UK guys used to be able to do, because for them they were just like, oh, the label has our back. They weren't right about that. Obviously, like it got sold to like some third party after the sense, which is unfortunate, right? And then I think that's more so the trend of what's happening. It's not that it's drying up; it's just people are business acumen is more
savvy,
and
and
it makes the art suffer a little bit.
But there's a balance too that I think they're missing out on, because like that person that you're talking about, specifically, he has music that's on trend, so it needs to come out. But waiting 18 months for it to come out, it might not be on trend anymore. So he might have missed his opportunity to blow up. And this guy needs to blow up. Like, he's had a couple of amazing songs. They've done really well. People have copied his art in terms of music videos, but unfortunately, he has a huge catalog that hasn't come out yet due to all these distribution and rights issues.
I think that's it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, for sure. I was just agreeing. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, you see, like Warner, Universal, all these guys now who are like signing people up, and it feels like this is it's boiling now, where we're gonna be, you've seen what Diljit's doing. You've just seen Karan just selling out. It was in Toronto as well.
Yeah.
You
got this guy hosted the after party.
Go on. What was that like? So just for time and reference, Aujla just sold out. Was it the Scotiabank
Arena. With the Raptors
and
Scotiabank Center, sorry.
Yeah, wow. and the reviews and everyone saying online was it was amazing. So what did you guys get to go, and what was it like after?
Wedding season, brother. It was a
classic
weekend. So I was like suited and booted, had to go to a friend's house, change for club attire. But to be honest, and this actually does circle back to a point that you brought up earlier, there was 800 people there, absolutely slammed, did not expect it. Like, the lineup went till 1 o'clock in the morning. And I looked around at one point, and one of my friends, obviously I had a couple of friends with booths and whatnot, like, who are all these people? Like, outside of the promoters, the DJs, and you guys, I don't know the other 750 people here. And that was not our experience before, because they're all, as Navi pointed out earlier, they have their own ecosphere. These people that we don't even know, obviously Aujla fans, we listen to the same music, but they're not in our circle. Like before, when we used to go clubbing in our 20s, me and Navi would go to a club and we knew 95% of the people there. It would be like a tradition. Every Friday, we would see the same people at the Desi parties or the fusion parties. Now, I have no idea who these people are. It's great. They're obviously helping us survive and paying our wages, but I don't know who they are at all. Like, we don't have connections to them. But it was a great party, awesome. Obviously, the concert, from all the reviews I heard and the people I know that went, it was absolutely amazing. He destroyed it. I think it was just 2 years ago he came and did a very, very small arena here called, was it Paramount Center, maybe? Or Rico? No.
It was Paramount Center. It was smaller than it was Paramount Center.
There was a meme too, because he got stuck in the rafters, something he was trying to descend. I think that was 2 years ago. My point being, that's what, 2,500, 3,000 people. Now he sold out 15,000. Like, his ascension is incredible.
Well,
I have one. I have one more story on that. Personally, I've done 3 gigs with him, like wedding gigs, right? And they got bigger and bigger and bigger. Last one being in 2021. I'm not going to say the amount of money, but let's just say, he made X amount of dollars for that. One of my clients for this upcoming September actually requested Aujla, and obviously through J Static and some of the connections, to Sandeep Rehan and all those guys, we got a price. The price went up. My math's not the best, that's why I do this. I think 7 or 8 times, and we're talking in the thousands. So you can kind of guess what the number is based on what other artists charge. It went up 8-fold in 2.5 years. So that guy's blown up to a different level.
I think his and Diljit's ascension has been hand in hand, kind of like Diljit's a couple steps ahead. Obviously, because he's been in the industry longer and he puts out more diverse music.
Yeah, because I saw a move. I did see a move where they obviously Karan's getting all the adulation for selling out what he's doing, and Diljit just puts up a post, like his manager put a post saying like, this is what we've done, $28 million or whatever. And you're just like going, oh, is this the new is this the new kind of friendly kind of competition that's needed in order to push each other? Because I think you do need that. We can't just have, you know, an artist up there. You need a bunch of them kind of pushing, and Diljit's dragged the industry for so long up to a point. Sidhu, I think it's always like, no matter what anyone does, there's always that asterisk. Sidhu could have done this.
I just noticed your shirt, by the way. Nice shirt.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
This is,
Hey,
yeah, I got this shouted out from you. I actually, to be honest, wasn't prepared. It's just ironic that it was just you guys. It's been so hot in the UK today. It's about 28 degrees, which is your equivalent of 40, 45 or whatever. So I've had about 3 showers today. I didn't even
wet my hair. Celsius as well.
All right.
Oh man,
we're in Celsius too, not Fahrenheit.
Man. Yeah,
yeah, I can't do the conversion.
We're part of the. Your queen's still on our bill.
Oh, kind of. Wow. Yeah. You mean the king now?
The king, yeah.
The king. Yes.
I'm not paying attention.
God save the king.
But yeah, I think it's one of those things. The Sidhu asterisk is always going to be there because Sidhu's peak was, I think that's unreal, right? And I think even like a trickle down effect of a sense of like how we say like Diljit brings things up. I think that peak that he hit helped Diljit too, because that whole like hip hop Punjabi trend, I think just went. Sidhu took it to the moon. Like there's no question of that. Like his when So High came out, it was an like unreal kind of thing. His flow from Punjabi to English back to Punjabi, like that, like the seamlessness that he did it. I'd never seen that before.
Yeah,
at that high of a level, that amazing of a song. And then yeah, there'll always be that asterisk, like what if, right? The same things happened with Tupac in hip hop and Biggie and stuff, with guys who died too soon. The 27 Club in all of music, you know, like artists and stuff, whether it be Nirvana and Kurt Cobain or Amy Winehouse, like that's like a that's like those artists are talked about in a level of like what if, like the Marvel What If series. You can make a whole show about it of like what happened to the world, because these guys' cultural impact was so insane. But I think whereas in competition was, I think they have friendly competition, which I like.
Yeah.
I think I talk about that a lot. I think competition breeds success. Like as much as me and Anuj are very close and we're tight, when we like got gigs where we're competing against each other, like a client reaches out to both of us, we crack jokes at each other and we'll be like, oh, who's gonna get it? This and that. Like, and it eggs us to be better. Mm-hmm. Like when something comes up and I'm like, but like it's friendly because like even today, like a gig came my way and I was already booked for the day. And they're looking for me. I'm like, who's the most similar to me? It's my boy Anuj. So if they're looking for my pocket, I'm like, yo, here you go, man. I'm already booked. Feed more. And I think that's what Diljit and Karan are like, because Karan wrote Go, which is obviously a massive track for Diljit. And I think that like when they talk about each other in interviews, there's nothing but high praise.
Yeah.
Like they might joke around a bit and everything. It's very respectful. Like even recently, like during
I think the winners in both of them is the promoter. The same promoter is Live Nation who's done it. So
Live Nation.
They're the ones. They're the ones who say, yeah,
they are signing everyone.
It's good for. It's good for. It's not just good for the promoter. It's good for the artist. It's good for the industry.
100%. I think the more the better, right? Like the more these guys put out, like I think Karan and Diljit have been on a tear that I haven't seen in Punjabi music before. Like I just like outside of like Sidhu again, like Sidhu, Karan, Diljit, I've never had an artist, and I love Jazzy B and Bhandwagon and all the artists that came before, but the constant output these guys have had for the last like 5 years has been unreal.
What's your top five? It is both for you. What's your top 5 right now? It's like I'm
right now.
Top 5 artists.
South Asian space, 100%. I'll go Diljit, Karan, top 2.
Yep.
Oh man, after that it gets dicey.
So I'm gonna go AP third with that last song you put out, and just as a project, having like Salman Khan and Sanjay Dutt in the video, even if you're not a fan of the song per se, you still got to give him respect for what he's doing.
Okay,
so I'll put him at 3.
So
I'll put 3. I'll go Chunni and Inderpal, the duo from BC.
At 3 or 3?
At 3. I'm putting it at 3. I had an AP.
Okay, sorry, let's start diverging a bit.
Yeah, we have different tastes. We're similar. We're not the same.
Okay. No, we're not the same.
No. I'll definitely go there. I got much love for Sukkah and BK as well. In that space, I don't know if I'd put them ahead of AP, but I don't know. These last like 2 projects for AP aren't my favorite. They're still great projects, but Sukkah's last album, Young Dude, the guy's like 19 or 20, and he's putting out music like that.
I'm gonna put Shub at 4.
Oh, Shub. Yeah. Sorry, I'll put Shub at 4.
Man. I love that bandana track. Again, can't play it at a wedding.
So what we got? We got one space left, I think,
for both of us.
I think. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. So I'll go Diljit.
Yeah.
Karan. Johnny and Interpod 3. Shub at 4. Oh yeah. I'll put. I don't know, but BK or Sukkah at 5. It's really close for me. Oh man, probably right now. I'll give it to Sukkah just because he's had more projects I think in this last year.
Actually, my fit's going to be a little very different from your taste. I think, but you did mention the song "Forever." Tegi Panno. That's my fit right now.
Oh, he's really I'm fine. I'm fine with that. Yeah. It's for Punjabi music. I think it's always ever changing every year. Like if you were to ask me last year, it would have been completely different. And next year, I think I'm a fan of the moment kind of thing. I think Diljit will stay on top for me.
Yeah, I think he's he's so far ahead, isn't he? He's so far ahead. But I mean,
like he's doing tracks with like Western artists on a regular basis.
But you know what it is? I can see Karan like clawing it as well, like pretty quickly. But not to that level. But
he's knocking on the door.
Yeah,
he's knocking on the door.
Yeah. But I
definitely see, but he's just not the.
Whenever you think Diljit's like, he's got himself in, he's stuck. It just comes out with another move, and it's all over.
You're like, let's be real. Like he did Chimkila, like that's done. Like he has like Chimkila's catalog at this point. Like if anybody else sings it, I'm like, that's cool. But like modern day, it's like at his concerts, and are you going to be able to go to his concert when it comes to the UK? I think it's coming up, right?
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a mad one over here, to be honest. So, like the ticket prices have been a real kind of topical discussion point. So, what was your prices over there?
Same thing in Toronto.
Jesus, man. You guys are actually luckier, man. You guys have more strict ticketing laws out there. Ours is like free for all, bro. It's cheaper for us to like fly out to you guys sometimes for shows. Toronto, especially because it's such a we're the 3rd or 4th biggest city in the States, and like we said, biggest Desi population. The competition to get tickets out here is stupid.
Actually,
I think there's been a couple of bits. I actually done a piece for the BBC Asian Network, and
nice.
I think I said a couple of bits, but I just made sure that they don't clip me, because whenever you put in an opinion, it's just different, isn't it? I think seeing it from kind of a fair point, like he's not sitting there saying, right, let me charge this X amount, right? It comes from different nuances. It comes from algorithms, the amount of people who are logging on at the same time, looking at the site. They have kind of live, active, fluctuating ticket prices. So we went from, I think it's about 100 quid, let's say £100.
Okay.
And it went up to like 800 quid a ticket. And then
ours went, I would say $100 to the floor seats. VIP were bro. 1,000.
Oh no, the VIP seats? No, those are over
like $1,000, $1,200.
Yeah.
So a lot of the frequency Mandem actually went to the States, and they went to shows in New Jersey.
Oh man, I was supposed to go to the Jersey show. I gotta get booked
all over the place because it was cheaper to fly down to the States, get somewhere to stay, and go to the show than going to the show
because
tickets.
We don't have the population.
I'm just in a weird space with it, because like the guy's been hanging around with Ed Sheeran and Jimmy Fallon show, and so he's seen the kind of production and seen what it's like, and then you're thinking, okay, he puts it out, they get sold within like 10 minutes, right? They're gone.
Yep. All gone.
Puts out the O2 again, gone.
There's 2 shows.
He
sold out
2 shows
so quick
in the O2. He's doing Birmingham. He's doing Glasgow. He's doing Dublin. He's doing one in Amsterdam.
Wow.
And then he's doing in Italy, I believe, after.
I think that's super impressive, because for us, we have to like fly to get.
No, we're gonna have to. Yeah, exactly, 100%. I know exactly where you're coming from.
You guys are so dense, like a train or something or a drive is possible.
Exactly, and he's doing Manchester. Yeah, so he's he's hammering it out. The only thing that I can do is I might go Amsterdam because it falls on my birthday. So I could do that, but I'm in this real weird trajectory, like point, because it's like four tickets will cost you over £1,000, right? Especially, and then and that's even the basics, and you're thinking,
yeah,
I want to go. My family is a different thing, and a lot of his hardcore fans. Let's say we were talking about the populations we were talking about, student populations. They might not, won't be able to afford it. You might have the casuals coming in and saying, just for clout, I'm there.
yeah.
And so there's this real mixed kind of thing that we got to think about, that he's not going to perform in banqueting shows centers anymore, or whatever did.
Yeah.
No, Diljit
He's
doesn't do
doing
weddings either.
super stadiums. Super stadiums requires super costs. My only thing is, and this is my point, was that I want to see the production at the same value as that. So we just had Justin Timberlake, in Birmingham, had like a stage coming off the ceiling and stuff like that. I'm just hoping logistically and from a production point of view that we get to see that level of art and what he done, because he done it before. He's brought a lion out on stage. He's had a lion prop. He had the moon. I want to see what he does, and he was the first one to do that stuff. I just want to see what he can do from there, because then if I start seeing the first signs of like what he's doing, I'll probably go to everyone else after that. I'll go to every show after, because I want to see that production.
So I think I saw a couple interviews with him and him talking about the production level. I'm super sad. I've never got to see him live.
Yeah.
Again, like the crux of what we do is we do have very fun jobs, but our
Yeah.
weekends are not our own.
Yeah.
I know both the Garn show and the Diljit show. I didn't have gigs when their tickets went on sale. So
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'll block it off. All this and that. I even got the Amex, the early access, and Ticketmaster just screwed us out here. Where I tried to log in, it was just a blank screen because there's so many people trying to log in.
Yeah.
And I was like, couldn't get tickets. By the time I got in, they were like $600, $700 for like not great seats. And I was like, you know what? If I get seats before a gig, I'll buy them at whatever rate. And even though I was willing to pay the extra money, because I'm, again, on your point, it's an experience. And for us to like see that production value for a Punjabi artist, I love it. Plus,
Yeah.
huge Chumkila fan now. I'm like, I know he's gonna do Chumkila
Yeah.
songs. I'm down.
Yeah.
So when he did, but unfortunately for both shows, when tickets did get a reasonable price, I'd already been booked for a gig and I couldn't go. I think the way he talks about his production is worth it. The way like I don't think he's making an over amount of money on this. Like he's definitely making a lot of money.
Yeah.
But if he like cut costs on production, he can make way more.
No,
I
but
think
remember,
the
it's
amount he's
Live
paying-
Nation who's doing a lot of the production. They get it like, and I know this not from the Diljit contract, but when Jay-Z signed, they're getting a certain amount of money no matter what. I don't know if they make on top and there's extras worked into the contract based on ticket sales, etc. But they have guaranteed money. That's why all these guys are running to Live Nation.
Yeah, no, hey, for sure. And that's amazing. But I think just speaking of production value, the way he talks about it, right? He did an interview recently. He's like, I can't like bother not to. Like if an idea comes into my head, the cost isn't ever gonna stop me.
Yeah.
He's like, we're gonna put on a show because my art is my legacy. Right. And I think he's gotten to a point where it's like, unlike other South Asian artists, unfortunately, like a lot of these guys up until recently, they have to have jobs. Like I remember coming up and people like Dada Puri and all these guys who live here and amazing singers, and they had like so many songs coming out. And I'm like, they just had a job. Like they were a singer and they have a job.
Yeah.
Nobody's job was to be a singer, minus like the biggest of big. And he's in that situation where that's the case, right? He's like,
Yeah.
I'm Diljit.
No,
This is what I do.
Look, the more tendency. I've been invited to a couple of places where I've been fortunate where I can go. One is just the dates ain't the best because it's around school time. But if there's one person who needs to set you off, it's going to be him, and that's why I think like from a personal pressure that I need to see that. But the other little thing where I'm a little bit torn is just being the mentality of our guys, which is the community just overbuying all these tickets and then trying to just, and you're just like, that's not a good move, man. You know, the way that it's happened, it's not. I don't find it very ethical, especially from a biased community point.
Yeah,
No,
we have
I
a huge
completely agree.
reseller problem here too.
That's what resale market out here is outlandish. Like we get doesn't matter what it is, they see English anything. You have a 6 times, 7 times, 8 times markup, and everything from the biggest artist to the smallest artist. There is no like I know one of my favorite things about you guys in sports is your guys resale on sports. The laws are so strict. Like I know guys that are big Premier League fans and they go out of their way to like come out like once a year, once every 2 years to watch a couple games. And I always ask them, I'm like, bro, like how much is that run you? And they're like, oh no, like we just went on the site and got tickets. I'm like, what? And like out here, that's impossible. Like
But
our Raptors, our
even
basketball team,
then,
like game over.
but even then, like let's say a face value ticket is like 70 quid or 50 pounds,
Mhm.
it's getting resold for 150 quid, 200 now, especially over the last sort of 3 years, especially post COVID. We've seen ticket
Okay.
prices, and then now where all clubs have cottoned onto that and said, if you're reselling your ticket, you have to sell it back to us, and then we will sell it for you and give you a bit of commission. No, so where that extra value that they were getting, they're able to just get it themselves from it. So it's still there. People are still trying to find the way around it. It's just from the concerts ticket from it. Some of the prices that this is outside Live Nation's Diljit's kind of point. The sphere of influence is what people are selling for is just absolutely crazy money. And
Oh man,
that's
I thought you
that's
guys were safe from it. That
nah
sucks,
nah
dude.
nah nah
People
nah nah.
suck.
There's a guy saw it on today. Let's say a 230 quid ticket. I think they're selling for 500 or something. So it's like each, and so he's
Nice.
just like I just I haven't I still kind of got this maybe wishful thinking point of view of what's going on, but I think I'm coming more and more into it, just saying like that's the game. That's the game. That's the game that
That's
it
the
is
game,
now.
man.
And we got
No, yeah,
Cost, cost of
I
everything
can't
has
hate
gone
on a
up.
hustler. I can't overtly hate on a hustler. If that's how you're making
Yeah,
money, world stuff like you're like, hey, this is how I'm gonna make bank. Like I don't know what your situation is. If
yeah.
you're like, hey man, I'm gonna sit at the computer, or I have like 4 or 5
yeah.
computers one
Bot.
on
Well,
one
I
coming
get
to
that.
file these
I've
tickets.
got no issue with that. I got no issue with the reselling. I got no issue with that. My point is that when you're getting a product out of it and you're getting experience, that's fine. Legit, you're getting experience.
Mhm.
It's if you set the precedent now and you get a bog standard singer coming there and expected it to do it, and they just have one screen and a couple of flamethrowers going off on stage, you're like, you can't be doing that anymore.
Here's those sparklers from a wedding.
You can't do that.
Hey, don't hate on our sparklers, man.
it's this, the steam coming out, the CO2. You can't just
Oh,
rely on the CO2 coming out, firework at the end, and two screens on stage. You can't do that anymore now. If you're
Not when you're doing
charging
arenas like
prices,
O2.
you can't do that anymore.
no, I get what you're saying. I 100% get what you're saying, and I think there needs to be like some sort of law needs to get put in place, like a X percentage value or whatever. Like, hey, if you can resell it, you can sell it for 25% markup or whatever.
I
Because
guess
like I know it's like weird this place, but the truth of that is the truth. The product itself doesn't get any better because you're adding on 2 times value. Like when there's other things that have market value or like higher, like the sneaker market for the guys who are sneakerhead. Hey, I'm gonna buy this shoe for $300, and I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna leave it pristine. If it becomes more valuable, I'm gonna sell it $800. The shoe didn't get any better, but the value of it did. That concert's that concert. That is $150 value for that $150 seat. Okay, cool. You made a little bit of markup, but it's not a $500 experience, and that's not changing.
I
Like
think the
whereas in like
danger is
products or car,
the
yeah,
I
and
think
you
the
set a
danger is
precedent.
yeah, I think the danger is you set the precedent and then you go and do it and an artist, you go to the venue and it's empty.
oh
Because
yeah,
it,
that's
it
definitely happened.
Yeah.
it can happen. I mean, I won't go into it too much, but there's a couple of big artists who've done tours in the last say 18 months, and they've gone out and said, "Yeah, we're going to do this." The tickets have been sold, and they've been an absolute flop, or
Oh,
they've
come on.
moved venues and they made them into smaller capacities just to say they could put a post out to say, yeah, we've sold out. It
Who are
doesn't.
the artists? Who are the artists? We're all friends here.
Oh, I can't say. I can't say. I'll
No,
tell you
that's
off.
that's
I'll tell you
fair.
off.
That's fair. Yeah, we'll talk about it after. But in the sense, here's
I'll
my
name
thing
one.
on that
I'll
is
name one. We
no
had
the
cancellation in Toronto.
the festival. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So
What's that?
AP
We talked about that
after
on one of our
AP, yeah, we
episodes.
talked about one of our podcasts, but for the new viewers who don't know us, yeah, AP after having a huge concert at that same venue that Karan did the show at Scotiabank, he tried to do another festival, the Summer High Festival, with some hip hop artists as well, and it flopped. It only sold 50% at these super high prices. They had to cancel it. This was what, last summer, bro, or 2 summers ago?
Last summer is whenever
Last
we started Mic Cheque. It happened like
summer.
first or second
Last
episode.
summer.
But yeah, no, but even it's not even just the Desi market. Well, obviously like the Drake, Kendrick beef, whatever, the repercussions of that in Toronto, if you can always sell out in Toronto, New York, LA, anywhere the population density is so big and people have X amount of money, those shows are always have that's never really an overt issue here, unless you've just timed it poorly or something like that. Like a festival is different. It doesn't call in a higher end crowd, right? Festivals like you have to be willing to stand outside, right? Like you're not gonna have seats and everything like that. So I think festivals are different. But when it comes to a concert, an indoor venue, there's a couple cities, and I've said it, it's like really hard to fail in. If the population density is big enough, you have a big enough fan base, you'll have rich clients, rich people come out to your show. So they don't really care about the price tag, or they have a way to get the tickets and stuff, right? Because the population is so dense, they have so many of those people, right? There's a reason they live in those cities, right? Like we can see, you can go from one end of Toronto where there's the ghetto of ghettos to the other end of Toronto where there's just mansions and opulent living, right? And I think that's the thing, but uh, canceled shows, this and that, like we're having a surge of people who can't perform in Toronto just because like I said, the Drake Kendrick thing right now.
What do you mean? Like just beef?
Or just like after that whole everything went down, obviously like we ride or die for Drake kind of thing. He's our guy. And I think they're saying it's not, but they're like, oh, these shows are just happenstance getting canceled right now. I think the police were canceling or something just out of safety sake or something. I think recently
Yesterday, there was a Future and Metro show at that same venue, and I saw everything on Instagram. It was what, a third full? It looks super empty. I'm shocked they didn't cancel it. It might have been half.
No, it was Live Nation as well. Was it Sir, that like R&B singer? He got canceled after like last week, and this was like a month after the Schoolboy Q concert here got canceled for the same reason. And that Schoolboy Q on right after it, people are like, "Yo, sir, is your concert getting canceled?" And he tweeted out, he's like, "My concert's definitely not getting canceled. You guys are tripping." And then right after his concert got canceled, he's like, "This tweet aged poorly." He's like, "I don't know what to say to this," and it was just like. That's all Live Nation too, which is wild to see.
So it's not,
and they've been pretty silent on it.
It's not the ticket sales; it's more security.
I think that's security, right? There's other reasons things can fail. Like that's the only time I think in big cities it fails overtly. If there's like a safety concern or like a backlash or something, like I think Rick Ross got beat up in Vancouver or something like 3 months ago.
Oh, he did
because he played Not Like Us, like whatever. Like and obviously, like safety is a major thing for these guys, and hopefully, like they can come out, right? These guys have fans in the cities. And everything on that side. But for you guys, I think the biggest thing is for Desi artists at least, is you guys have pockets of it. Like you have such a mass population, it rivals us by a lot. But we're just like one city, and then there's thousands of kilometers, and you can't go to anything.
I think
so like
it only happens with the rare artists, like a Gurdas Man, a Diljit, a Karan. It will happen. Then you've got another tier or two or three tiers who would go for much smaller venues around of it as well. I think the other part of it is that I think from a language point, Canada is a lot more closer to Punjabi now with the generations there compared to some of the generation. Punjabi is kind of dying out here in the UK, so you're getting a lot of the younger generation necessarily, my kids' generation and the generation above who are not really connected to Punjabi music. They respect it, they like it and that, but it's not their music of choice now. It's kind of moved around. So we've got kind of those kind of challenges, whereas I think you guys are still a good few years away from that, or if it might not ever.
I guess also because we're at gigs and like weddings so constantly, like people like get to interact with us.
Yeah.
There's a couple things like I've said on shows and episodes. So far, I think the biggest one is when I was making fun of students, and I said something like I'm on a dating app and she sees me but smells him. Oh man, I've had at least like 5 to 20 people, like like just randomly say that.
That's a t-shirt right there.
I told him that should be our first merch item. I already told him that.
I was just like, yo,
I haven't moved on merch, man. I've had a few. Can't. I just find it. I struggle with kind of merch. I just find it, especially from my point of view, it's kind of like my kids just find it cringy that I have like Bhandwagon t-shirt. They're like, "What are you doing?"
No, man, you gotta do what you gotta do, though. It's all
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
It's not. It's
I'm
not.
not gonna lie. We call each other. We're like, "Yo, what are we wearing?" I'm like, "Oh, let's wear frequency shirts since we don't have our own merch yet, right?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's hard, man. It's definitely hard. It's hard. Just keep keeping it going is difficult.
For sure.
yeah, I've had I think for us, I think one of the biggest reasons we've been able to do what we do, and I say it all the time, is our infrastructure here is wild. Like we have access to the frequency network, um, and they've kind of just like JSAT, KSR, all these guys have kind of just been like, "Hey, what do you need?" And I think that's helped us a lot. Like just like
Oh
we were
yeah,
talking about, like
I had
frenzy
2
stuff
failed
helped you.
podcasts that didn't launch prior to the one with Navi.
What
Because we just
what do you mean? Go on, give me, tell me that.
So I had one with one of my boys that we were gonna start called Anything is Possible. Drink Hennessy and just talk shit about sports.
Oh,
That never launched. Those two are not in the industry at all. Then I was gonna do one with I won't name them, videographer and photographer and another MC that never launched. During COVID, we talked about it a lot because one, the co-host, I didn't have the same vibe that I do with Navi. We tested it out and it was just more about like top 5 lists and top 10 lists. Great guy, but I just
shit! I did a top 5.
no, I'm cool with that, but like that can't be the whole conversation, right? Like that
Yeah,
can be the basis or foundation of our conversation. You can do it as a segment, I'm down,
yeah.
but I can't do it as the whole conversation. And so that never launched. Navi's how it came up is obviously, and we haven't mentioned this, surprisingly, when we talked about the North American podcast scene, Frequency and Friends, right? Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting right outside the boardroom. Actually, it's just
sitting
outside the
out
door there.
exactly.
I love.
Right?
You know what it is. That's one of the first times where I got introduced to the kind of the frequency scene. I saw I saw a few of the episodes. I was like, "Fuck yeah, that's good, man!" And I really enjoyed like there was no idiots on there. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes like you might see a bunch of people together and you will always spot one prick in it. You're like, oh god. But everyone on there was like added value to it. It was very unique and I enjoyed it. And I learned so much myself from it. Um I was at one stage when I was gonna come over, we would like talking about whether I was gonna come on there and that, but I don't think they knew me enough on that side.
We'll make it happen now. One of the hosts definitely, Manit knows you, DJM, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, he gave you a lot of love and a lot of props. And honestly, sorry, Frequency and Friends team. Like we talked about the North American free podcasting. I think that's the elephant kind of thing. Like you're just when you're standing too close to it, it's just a gray wall. Like you're not paying
No,
attention.
I
If we sit too close to it.
You know the way that they done it was I enjoyed the way how everybody was there. You could feel the energy in the room on the side where people are around. It felt like an event going, that was going on. And I thought it was brilliant. And
For
So
sure, for
a
sure.
lot of the earlier episodes, and we kind of talked about the fact that with our podcast, there might be 1 or 2 people there. There used to be like 20 of us at the Frequency, and like Navi used to come through. I would be at a lot of the earlier ones, and they would interact with us. Now I know they've got a little bit more professional, but like at our old office, we all used to be there. Used to be like 20 of us there, drinking, having a good time. I made a cameo in a few of them when they needed questions or this or whatever. And the thing is, all of them are music lovers, right? You've seen their Punjabi Shazam and all that.
Yeah. I'll play along with
They're
that.
not just DJs. They love the music. They love the artist. They actually want to get to know the artist genuinely.
But I think it was also difficult because of the scheduling as well. Because like to get that many people in at the same time on a day and the artist is just solid.
No, so they've talked about that a lot. Like I've sat in a couple of these like logistic conversations and stuff, of course. And it's one of those ones where why we kept our podcast smaller too, and what we've learned over the last like year and a half as we've been doing this is because we were like, oh, we should have a guest, we should have a third person, which we will do and do more often when we have mastered being able to do this on a weekly basis. We haven't mastered it. We do it like we were much better this year than last year. We're on a monthly basis right now, and I'm hoping to keep up at least that until we get even better. But the reality is like, hey man, like the back end's really hard for us. Like the editing, this and that, like getting stuff get together. We have a great production team. Our main shooter, he's super successful and busy. So to get him in,
He's the same guy who shoots Frequency and
Frequency
Friends.
and Friends.
Lucid Films.
Maybe see that I knew that. So like, obviously, I didn't know the back end and stuff, but
Yeah.
I just got that natural feel when I saw your stuff. I was like, yo, this is, just even like basic stuff for how it's shot in the like 4K and the delivery and how tight it is. Because I look at some podcasts and stuff and they've gone more gimmicky where they take the piss out of themselves.
Yeah.
When they do stuff, and I'm like I got 2 kids, man. One day, one of my kids are gonna one day watch some of these. Hopefully, if not, they won't. But
nothing gets erased on the internet.
yeah, and so you're thinking like, I don't want to, dress up. I don't want to say something for a catchy bit and put little animations in, cartoon ones and that from the side. I did a parody one for a clip once. Well, I was just taking my piss out of myself and that from that way. And you know what happened? The views didn't go up. It didn't even go. It just stayed the same. So I just realized at that point, there's just no point. But when you're doing, instead of a one-off, you're consistently doing. I just don't. It don't sit with me right.
Yeah,
No,
I think
totally
we
agree
get
with
along
you.
with you as well, man. Like, just be real, be authentic. If
Yeah.
audience is there, they'll find you.
Our early conversations were a lot about that. When they're in pre-production, we're like, hey, I don't like this, I don't like that, I do like this. Like keep it natural. Let's try freeform. We have more structure now than we did at the beginning, which I love. Is like we have like a pre-production meeting to be like, hey, we're going to talk about A, B, and C. I have a topic I don't want to tell you about because I want your natural reaction. It's in this realm of sports or entertainment or South Asian life or whatever it is. We do stuff like that where it's like, hey, here, we're going to talk about this, but I don't want to. Like one of my favorite ones that Anuj did as a surprise for me was there's some bride that wanted people to pay like 2K to come to her wedding. And he brought it up on the, and I lost my mind. Like I generally, like I blacked out. I just went on a rant of how stupid that was. And again, like it was great entertainment, right? Let me be like, just absolutely, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, kind of thing. And it was real fun. And then that's the only like real surprises we really have anymore. We have like soft discussions of like, so like last episode, it was like Diljit concert. All right, cool. Let's talk about it. I want to talk about the dancer controversy because obviously like some people are like, we should get paid. Some people are like, we shouldn't, whatever. And we had that conversation early on. And which was honestly so silly. And then the Trump assassination, obviously, politics, Canadian, but we just went through it. We're like, all right, this is the stuff we're gonna talk about. I don't want to hear
We
your
got on
side.
some tangents last episode, some serious tangents.
But a lot of the content that you said is just crossover. It's not just. Sometimes you get scared that only people in your community are going to know what you're talking about, and it just stays there. But a lot of your topics cross over, like over to the UK, especially when the topic scenes. How do you kind of are you conscious of that with who your audience is when you're raising stuff or having those discussions?
I don't think we found our audience yet, to be honest. So right now we're just testing different things, and I think we're definitely getting away from the wedding stuff. I think we tried that the first. The only people who care about the wedding industry are the people in the wedding industry. So cool. There's other podcasts out there for them. That's not us. Yes, people need to know that we're event MCs. We work for Frequency. Cool. Here's our thoughts on everything else. This is what we agree with. This is where we disagree. This is where we go on rants, etc.
Yeah, I think we've gone to the point where it's we kibosh each other's ideas a lot. I'll say something, Anuj doesn't agree with it. He says something, I don't agree with it. If we're not both on board, or we've definitely done veto power. We're like, yo, I really want to talk about this, or he's like, I really want to talk about it, and it's never come back where we did the product and either of us are upset about it because we're like, yo, I see what you're coming from, and when you're talking about it, it's super entertaining. Just when I was like, my opinions weren't. So like it's usually heavily one side or the other.
Yeah.
I'm very conscious of putting out products that are entertaining. I don't care to talk about boring topics. I think even our wedding industry stuff, the reason it did get some traction and stuff like this, because that's just our lives. That's the truth. Like I don't want to get away from the fact that I am a wedding MC and party MC. I'm more educated about that than 99.9% of the world. And why not? Right. Right. And that's where we live. So I don't mind using that as a frame of reference. But I think definitely in the sense of when we do talk about topics or building structure about what's going on in the world, it's usually something that's viral or ongoing or relevant. And I'm like, so people will care. I don't
Now,
want to talk about,
now we've built to that. I think we used to,
yeah,
the first few episodes, and we're talking like we've been around forever, but in the first few episodes, it was like, oh, this wedding thing, or like Navi said, this wedding topic. As we build an audience, people know that we're wedding MCs. That's cool. Here's our opinions. We don't need to harken back to it, and I don't think we do anymore.
yeah, we only
Don't
have,
need to be like,
I
as
think
a
we
wedding
do.
MC,
I think
no,
we do. Like, I don't think there's any harm. We talked about it today. And
yeah.
again, this is like a point where we might differ, right? But I think that little point that we're not the exact same person is what gives us rapport.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
I think that helps that, like, let me talk about this. And he's like, I don't want to. I'm like, I do. And blah, blah. And like that kind of like tension sometimes about something is what sparks a good segment. And then sometimes when we're so in sync about something, that also sparks great content. And my more so mindset when picking topics is who cares? Like, do they care? Do I care? If I don't care, I don't want to do it at all. I don't care if it's the most relevant thing in the world. I'm like, I don't care. I'm like so irrelevant to me to be talking about something that I think is stupid. But if I think that something is engaging or needs more awareness, I'm like, let's do it. Like, why not? And if we help people educate something about something or spark a conversation on a different podcast or wherever, I'm more than happy for it. I think that's how it's gone. And moving forward, we'll have more of those kind of awareness to like build on things. I think we're still not in the 10,000 hours, right? Like we've done 10,000 hours of emceeing, so live stuff is for us. But the more podcasts we do, and that's why I want to push out content more, is not necessarily to put out more content just for the sake of putting it out. Is we'll get better. We'll get better at the production side. We'll get better at picking topics. We'll get better with our rapport on camera. Like we talk over each other sometimes, and sometimes I know I go on like heavy rants, and I'm like, I gotta cut back. So I get Anuj's opinion on this because we only have X amount of time we want to put out. And I think that's where we're sitting is like we're learning and we're getting better at it every episode. And we get to the level where it's like walking and breathing for us is where I want to be.
So,
Absolutely agree.
sorry, go on, Anuj.
No, my only other point is like we could have been gimmicky, and we even thought of. I'm sure you have these shows in the UK as well. We were going to be like a debate show. Our example in North America is ESPN, like what is it called, man? Pardon the interruption, where Navi takes a point, I take a point, we debate. And we thought about that, but again, we have similarities. That's why we get along, but we don't agree on everything. And that point counterpoint is there in every, not if not every topic, at least every podcast, right? And it's real. Like we like to roast each other. It's great. I think he was talking about that too when it was off camera a bit. We were even talking about that today. Should we be more serious or just be ourselves on this podcast?
What's the most polarizing kind of subject matters at the moment? I know it's a very, very broad subject from what I'm saying, but what you guys experience at the moment? Is it in the USA, the just around even the Canadian politics, what's happening? Because in the UK, there's quite a lot of extremism that's happening as well, politically and socially. We've had some riots that have been happening as well. What's sort of the biggest polarization topics there?
Yeah, definitely politics, man. The whole rise of nationalism, far left politics versus far right. I think, in all three of our countries, we can say with the US, Canada, and the UK is the most important topic. And I think the fact that inflation is crazy in all three countries right now and people can't afford anything is kind of the root cause of all of that. Right? Navi, I think you agree as well. And that's what we talked about.
I think, yeah. Weird. That's heavy for us right now. We have a weird dichotomy with America where like how they're doing matters so much for us.
Yeah.
Like if we're so like little brother, like if they're not doing well, we're not doing well. So we care a lot about their politics like more than any other country in the world. Like we're like I know my dad and obviously like our parents care about like the politics in India, and I'm like I don't even care. Like whatever, like that nothing is not going to affect my life on a day. Like what's
I
happening?
can't handle those Indian news debate shows, bro. Oh my God.
It's wild, right? Like he's like right, and obviously like we care, right? But it's just like on my day-to-day life, like that kind of stuff. I'm like selfish to know what's happening that's going to affect us directly. That's always the thing. Like Trump getting shot, the reason we talk about it was just like, bro, is this guy going to win? Because it looks like he's going to win. Would it be good for us?
I
Like,
don't know.
would it be bad?
It's a bit weird now as well, isn't it? Because I think the tide's turning towards Kamala as well, from what you see from the press.
I have a quick call I have to answer. Sorry.
Go for it, man.
Excuse me.
What are you doing? Guy can't multitask.
It's technology. What's that frequent flyer like card all about?
That right there is probably from one of our club events or parties that we throw here. So some of them will get like promo cards for like boots when we order bottles. Sometimes we'll have digital ones. I know when I first joined, every year, if you ever hear like I think end of November, early December, we do the annual frequency party as an appreciation party to other vendors, our friends, families for support. Because honestly, man, being a spouse or a family member of a wedding industry guy out here is, dude, I feel so like genuinely, man, like it's so wild. Like you're sitting out here like, cool, I'll see you guys on like a Tuesday afternoon. We're working on Tuesday evening. Like I'm right off from Friday to Sunday.
Yeah,
Like
I know
like
the feeling, man.
Yeah, like right, like it's really weird. Like
I used to play Dole when I was younger.
Oh yeah.
And my dad used to do nights. So I never used to see him. I used to see him like on a Friday when he used to have the day off. Because you were literally just setting up, packing up, doing the next, and it was a madness.
All right, he was just asking about the frequent flyer thing, but I was letting about like the frequency parties.
My wife wanted to throw this out. I didn't let her throw it out, and it came in handy.
The expiry date's gone on there, innit? From what
expiry date's yeah, it's definitely expired, bro.
This is we have yeah, so that's a cool thing. That's a cool thing. I think that I've never been to a industry party outside of Toronto, but it's one of my favorite things about being in the wedding industry and stuff out here and like the music scene is the community we have. It's really cool. Like, and I feel really bad. We missed out on because of weather and stuff yesterday. We had a Prison Media as a lab, a good friend of ours, big video company here. They absolutely fantastic. They did a boat party on the lake. Right. And I wish like we could have made it. Unfortunately, couldn't. Like weather was a little cold and getting sick isn't an option for an MC, man. Like we try to be safe with our health because if I can't speak or I lose my voice, you're losing paychecks, right? And like you don't want to. We deal with people's biggest days of their lives. We don't want to lose our voice and this bride and groom looking forward to it. And they're like, "We're sorry, we can't do what we do." Yeah. But like they did a boat party and people are having an epic time. They're jamming, right? And then we do our party at end of the year every year to show our appreciation and love to everybody. And people just come out and they party with us and jam and we get to have a good time. And the best thing about that is like, the crowd is going to be awesome because industry party, everybody's professional partiers. Like we're at parties every weekend.
Yeah.
And so when we're together,
actually Chunky
and losers and
Harv from Kudos have flown down for the party a few times as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome. I think I wasn't on frequency at that time.
Yeah.
But
down, so
that's cool.
It's a party. We've had people, international guests come in as well.
It's cool, right? Like we do that one. I know a
couple other guys. It's going to be in December. We'll let you know the date. It's usually the first or second Sunday.
Right? I'll be there.
Daytime party. We get
got you.
Smash. Like we just like we're like it's our day to let loose. Because like at a gig, I'm not drunk. Like you know, like I might have a beer or two, but you gotta work.
Ready for the memes?
Oh, dude, it's I'm like, thank God we control the photo and video content.
We control video, photo content that day. Make sure.
Thank God. We've talked about doing like maybe a podcast or something at the venue.
Let's do that this year.
Yeah, it'd be cool, but we just like I think we all get too amped not to work that day.
No, we'll do that to start as it's ascending.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. But it's
just even have like a booth so anyone it's like randomly recording and people could come in and just see what and just put the compilation. So do the start, then having like a Vox box, the camera.
Oh, we already have that actually. One of our assistant
and then people just come in there and just record. That'll be laugh.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll have some fun. But I think controversy wise, like I think the biggest thing is politics right now and how the world's going. I think Olympics drew some heavy controversy over the last like month or so.
Yeah.
Yo, did you guys? I'm always curious. Paris is what, like 2 hours from you guys in the UK, right? Something like that.
Yeah, so it's about it's a 90-minute flight, I believe, from like Birmingham, from where we're in the Midlands. So but you can catch a ferry over. It's about 25 miles
Yeah.
from
Did you
that
guys
side.
feel that at all? Like about like Olympic life being there, or is it like so separate because they're different
Nah,
countries?
it's so separate. You knew
Okay,
that
because
it
I
was
remember
going on.
like
You can feel it because obviously the TV coverage and stuff and within the
yeah.
news, but you don't feel nothing like that at all.
Yeah, I know when we did it in Vancouver here, it was like a 4 hour flight, obviously, but like you could still feel it in the city. Like
Yeah.
you can feel like because like I guess it's in the same city, they're marketing it and everything. There'll be like bars and watch parties.
But you're in the same it's at least the
Country.
same country in it. Within here, it's just it's not that. And I think the timing of it, while we had stuff going on here with all the trouble, it wasn't people's attentions were kind of really distracted as well at the same time. So
How's like so the riots and everything? Like, have you guys? How prevalent is that? Like, have you seen anything like live or like yourself, or is it more like you're just like, yo, stay away from that area or that like
you
hood?
know, good question to be honest. I think because I was born in Handsworth, so in Handsworth was I had some very notable kind of riots in the early 80s. So it's kind of in the history of the DNA that trouble it culminates because it was a lot of area where migration used to happen. So the first wave of especially the Black and Asian communities would come into inner city areas because that's where the jobs were, and so they kind of had to deal with the trouble at that time, and that inherent trauma is kind of passed on. So your parents will, your grandparents always like had a suitcase packed ready if they had to go. They would always kind of think this isn't necessarily their country. They've come here, earned the money, and then they felt that they were going to go back at one stage. But as everyone started having kids, bare decade as they say in it, the roots
Yeah.
have been put through, and that was it. So over the years, that argument that they say, you're gonna get sent back and that used to just get diluted down. We got passport here with this. I think what's happened here has been simmering with if you keep looking at the same stuff on the internet, especially on social media, you're gonna get fed the same algorithm, and then you're just gonna start getting people getting brainwashed within it to see it. There's small minorities in every community that are troublesome.
Yeah.
When you put all of them together and pitch together against each other, that can spill into kind of the mainstream. So it is a little bit nerve-wracking to see what's going on and where it's happening because you can't see an end result. The previous sort of government was more right leaning, so you would have assumed that they would have been sorted out the kind of the migration issue, if we call that an issue. Now we've got a left leaning government. People are saying, well, they couldn't sort it out. These guys are gonna make it worse. So there isn't a solution around many different issues. It feels like the NHS is kind of falling. You feel every sort of kind of sector it feels like it's going down, but it's not necessarily just the UK alone. It feels like it's every major country within the Western world is going towards that way. So I think it's not just a kind of a country issue. I think it's a universal issue. What's happening here now as industries are changing, sectors are changing, cost of living in every country is kind of going up, and governments now are coming in more to kind of populist people within them, not necessarily the best people who can actually manage things. So you fear that the world when you leave behind will be in a much worse state than when you entered it.
Oh
But
man, I totally agree with you.
then you got the other side where you think, well, technology's never been better. You with AI, and you've got all these kind of things. So is it a first world problem? I don't know. I think time will tell over everybody's born always thought that they were either living in the best or worst times. I think we're just probably in the same boat. However, you do find that if you don't watch the news, you do have a better day.
No, that's a genuine thing, dude. Like I sit on the fact of like you just live in the times that you're born in, and you kind of have to take the lumps. Every era is gonna have the best of it and the worst of it. For us, we feel that immigration thing, we've talked about it on our episodes of the podcast, like continuously is like it's not the masses that we have a problem with. It's like the like the percent that's doing the bad stuff and the living in that kind of like negative area that shine the light on us as a whole. Where they're
Yeah.
like, no, all these Punjabi people are like this, or all these black people are like this. No, there's like a percent, 2% of the population that's doing this stuff, right? That we just don't want to have shine for. And that's unfortunate, but like I remember one of my favorite things when I was growing up is like, like the schoolyard conversation of like, if you were gonna live in a different era, like where when you travel back in time, where would you be? I'm like, why would I go back in time? My skin tone don't work in every era, bro. Like, yo, like, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, I go to, yeah, sure, Elvis in the 50s. That'd be cool to see. I want to be loud in the concert venue. You know what I mean? Like there's a whites only section and this and that, and like all that kind of life. I'm like, I live in the most accepting time for a Punjabi guy in the world, like of all time, to be like universally accepted around the world. So I'll take that as the plus. Like, yeah, of course, um, the first world problem of what it is technically it's a first world problem doesn't mean it's not a massive problem, right?
Yeah.
Like, cool. Like, I never like to compare problems to problems. A problem is a problem. I don't, like it's yeah. Some people are starving, and that's terrible, and that's that's we need to fix the solution in the third world and get them some more shelter, get them more clean water. But we also that doesn't affect my daily life
It,
as much as
it's a
like
difficult.
this immigration issue.
It's a tricky one because it's probably the first time like I know you're having a conversation with your children to say
Mhm.
that why people see you as different when they've never seen themselves as different. In
Yeah.
school, like especially in primary school, like racism doesn't exist there. They're too young for it. So when you come in and they're seeing the news, like, and you're saying, "Oh, why is this happening?" Oh, really, really, when you break down, when you get to it, it's because they're not the same. It's the difference that people are fighting the difference when it shouldn't happen. So getting in trouble because your skin tone is different to somebody else. It's a very you had that feeling when it was 9/11. The next day after 9/11, you had the same feeling in certain when it was a little bit of Brexit or when Trump got in, and you think, oh, and then now, but then you see what's going on. You're seeing people wanting Trump in. You're seeing people wanting who are migrants themselves, not wanting other people, communities coming in as well. It's a really confusing time to kind of have a political stance and stick with it. Where I think the healthiest option is it's okay to change your mind on things.
Oh,
I think the
100%. I
biggest
think
issue
with the
is,
times of life.
yeah, the biggest issue right now is there's no center parties. Everyone is either too left or too right. And we need to come back to the center, and bipartisan politics needs to show up again. I don't know what happened to it over the last, 20 years. Social media could be an issue, and I know that's the easy answer. There's always been people who didn't agree with each other, but everything is just so laser focused now. Any comment you make gets blown out of proportion, like we've said multiple times during this podcast.
Yeah.
Um, on the last podcast, I said I actually do want Trump back in because I think financially and sorry, economically, his policies are going to rein in some of this inflation that we're facing. The cost of living is crazy right now. Toronto is so expensive right now. You can only take all of these surveys and analysis with a grain of salt. But the last couple have said we're the most expensive city in the world. When did that happen? It was always like Paris, Mumbai, London, New York, LA. When the hell did Toronto become the most expensive place in the world to live? Right? And as Navi said, there's a direct correlation to us and American politics right now with Biden. If he's not sleeping or whatever, with him and Trudeau, like we're way to the left right here in North
No,
America, and
we're
that's a
so
huge
bad
issue.
right
Like
now.
again, a lot of the I don't think Trump is as right wing as he has to pander to because that's the base of the Republican Party now. I think he is more of a centrist, and you'll see that in his policies. Yeah, is he maybe a racist? Maybe. Is he a sexist? Probably. But for our economic health, which we need right now,
Oh,
is the
man.
best and only possible option.
Don't be
Kamala Harris would be terrible.
don't be his campaign manager with those taglines.
Hey man,
No,
you know,
but
like, a lot of Desi guys are their campaign managers.
Oh yeah, they love it.
oh,
I didn't know
but
that.
you're
Like
completely
JD Vance,
right.
his guy is like this Gujarati man. His actual campaign manager or whatever it's called when it's the vice president. I saw him on CNN the other day.
Smash.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is like for us, we've had a liberal party for about 8 years. It's going to be 8
8
years,
to 9.
right?
8 to 9.
Yeah.
8 to 9, whatever the case may be. And then with Biden in and everything like that, like again, they're more politics now have become the popularity contest of like say the most extreme stuff if you're on this side, and then say the most extreme stuff on this side, and you're just kind of like guessing who's going to be the most in the middle. Like they have to say that stuff to get elected, but the reality is they're going to work somewhere here. Like they might be a little bit this way or a little bit that way, but the reality is they say the stuff that's so ridiculous because they're like, or who's going to vote for me? Like I need the votes to get in office to do the job. And the annoying thing for us is we're like, yo, dude, is he serious? Like, is he not? Like, what is going to happen? And then that causes that overlying tension, right? When somebody who's like more on the like the Republican or conservative side for us is like, yo, is that guy racist? Because I remember the last election for Canada. I remember what the guy's name was.
Keep forgetting
Who was
his
running?
name.
I don't know, whatever. Useless, irrelevant guy that didn't get elected, like that guy. But he was. I remember people were calling him Mini Trump. They're calling him Mini Trump because it was like, yo, this guy said some borderline racist shit like a couple of times. And we're just sitting there. I'm like, yo, like out of principle, out of my skin tone, I can't vote for this dude, even though I am a more of a conservative dude. But I'm sitting here just feeling uncomfortable at the things he's saying. And now we're so lucky to have Pierre Poilievre, which is, I think, the best thing in a pause in a voting area where it's like, all right, cool. So he leans conservative and economic, but the stuff he says is liberal. Where you're like, cool,
again, not
like,
liberal. I think
not liberal, but whatever. You know, he's like not outlandish.
Yeah.
He doesn't say things where I'm like, yo, I want to grab a beer with that guy. Like that guy scares me. Like he's not, like like he's not that kind of guy where I'm like, yo, is he gonna like do some policies that are gonna mess with me and my family? He's more of like, let's just be a common sense. And yeah, I am more conservative. 100%, I am. That's why I'm the leader of this party.
Yeah.
But we ain't trying to be racist. We ain't trying to be like sexist. We're not trying to be absurd human beings out here. And I think that's why he's going to absolutely destroy it whenever the election comes up. And our biggest problem is we have a coalition where the party that's supposed to be keeping our liberals in check is run by a Singh, which we like. He's just, and he's not doing
okay.
jack
So
for
actually,
us.
you know what? This is a good question for us to ask. Actually,
Yeah.
you. What is like the perception of Canada with all these Punjabi people in politics, and especially being one of the leaders of the party being Jagmeet Singh? Like, what do you guys think of him from the outside?
I mean, obviously, I'm not the official spokesperson, but I'll take the responsibility on.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I see.
I want a Union Jack above his head for this.
Yeah. I see.
God save the king.
You're gonna see jack shit over here. There's nothing. I think from my point of view, I see Canada as extremists. Right. What I mean by extremist is that not extremists, extremes, where you've got new generation of new Punjabis coming over, specifically Punjabi community. You're probably asking me about, coming from India, and the promised land is there. You've got unique opportunity, land space wise, the everything that's available to it, and then you see so much the progressive leaps and bounds to see the community in power positions, seeing them in leaders of a party, you're seeing them in politics. We don't see, we've only got, I think we've just had 11 Sikh MPs that have just happened now. Before that, there was only 2. And before that, there was 1. It's always been 1, 2, 1. And now we've seen a big rise. And the mechanisms of change are unfortunately going to have to be involved within politics. So I see the extremes of somebody coming over and seeing where their journey and experiences and see see the progression that they made, but then I see the progressiveness of the communities already established in the politics that's already there. And I can't tell the difference sometimes what's happened. I see the gang violence. That part really upsets me the most, where you've seen South Asian crime on South Asian crime, and the brutal violence that's involved within it with the gang warfare. I really struggle to kind of process that because sometimes where here, if you see like there's a community, some apne versus some apne, it's kind of like, it's kind of sat down and squashed. It's still small. There you're seeing brutal murders. It's on. I find it embarrassing when you see, black and white correspondents talking about Sikhs murdering Sikhs and stuff like that. I was just like, I can't. It doesn't process with me on that bit. I find that strange. So that's kind of just my really non-educated, stereotypical kind of external viewpoint of what I see in Canada.
I think you made good points. But one thing I want to jump on is the brown on brown or Punjabi on Punjabi violence. A lot of that is economically driven. These guys were promised this. In the music videos, we all have mansions, we all have G-Wagons. That's not true. Like, none of that is true. Me and Navi are living a decent life here, but we're not worth $50 million as it's put on in these music videos and whatnot. And they're struggling. There's like 20 of them in a house. They didn't realize everything was so expensive: groceries, gas, insurance, etc., cars. And they're getting sucked into, it's not a gang, it's not a blood and crip thing. There's no hate. It's just, we got to survive. So they're getting picked up by these, mob bosses or whatever the heck they're called. And hey, these are easy targets. Let's grab these 20, 30 students, go steal some cars. My car got stolen from my driveway, bro. And probably was Dacey's, right? Who did it. It's not that they were attacking me. It's just, they got to make a living. Are they going to get all that money? No, they'll probably get like 10%, but they got to survive. So that's what's happening a lot. I'm not saying there are no gangs or there are no beefs, but a majority of it is economically driven. In my opinion.
I sit on the opposite side of that. Not fully. Like I definitely agree. It's because they're falling on hard times, but there's like non-violent crimes, dude. Like there's non-violent crimes that pay. Like there's too much of this like very violent, like gun violence, murderous intent, all that kind of stuff. I sit on the side of always, I think population drives. I think the reason you hear so much Indian violence and Sikh on Sikh violence or Punjabi, whatever it is because there's just more of them here than anywhere else. Like if you're in LA and there's a heavy black population, who's going to be the biggest crime, right? It's going to be the black people because there's just more of them. It's not because they're the worst people.
I disagree with you on that because I think there's a socioeconomic factor there, right? Like let's talk about LA.
I'm not disagreeing that there's not. I'm not saying that there's not. I'm not saying there's not a socioeconomic factor. I just think if you look at any major city in the world, and then you look at the people who are going to be the worst off are going to be people with the biggest population, because they're going to touch both sides of it. There's going to be some of them, like we know the guys who live on the very opulent lifestyle here. We know a bunch of very successful Punjabi people who are legit.
Of course.
Like that's a fact that we know them. Like we personally know them. They're very well off. They're driving the Rolls.
It's just one of those weddings.
Yeah, and then those same that because we're the biggest population, we're gonna have the most successful people and the least successful people. So that socioeconomic thing you're talking about, that's there, it's prevalent and it's sitting there. But the violence, I always say, like, yeah, you're getting pulled into it and you're being put into a shitty situation. So I'm never gonna talk on somebody's individual experience. Man, maybe you did get sucked into this terrible thing and you got put into.
They were sold a dream, right? That the whole thing is in India. These, what is the term?
Agents.
The agents, right? For lack of a better term, who get them their visas and do all that stuff for PRs or student visas. They're selling that, koi gal nahi, when you get here, do this 8-month course and you're getting a $150,000 job. That's all bullshit. And I can't believe with the internet, somehow that has not filtered back to Punjab. You don't sell your land for this dream that doesn't exist.
See, I agree. I understand, and You know, I see the both the not the positives is not the right word, but the pros of your arguments. I think what happens is if you're trying to explain to somebody back home and you say don't do that, they're like, oh, you're trying to keep me here to kind of safeguard you know, you're not telling the truth.
Yeah.
Even what you're seeing on
They think we're gatekeeping, right?
exactly, and that's been inherent in every kind of desi business from day dot. You get it in DJ, you'll get it in banking, you'll get it everywhere within it.
Yeah.
I just see, you know, from where how progressive that you are in some sectors. I think in the UK their seas are kind of more stable in a lot of bits, but you see a lot more of the kind of ups and downs in Canada around it. And you know, the natural environment, the beauty of it as well, of the country. It's you know, it is an experience. It is definitely an experience.
Yeah,
Okay.
you notice none of those shots are ever in the wintertime though, yo. Like they ain't trying to sell that dream out here, yo. They're like, I like my favorite time ever to talk to a student or somebody who came here. They're like, bruh, December and January suck. I'm like, yeah.
But Johnny, man, they come in chapala, no winter jackets,
Wild.
Oh,
minus 30 outside with 20 centimeters of snow.
I'm gonna bring it to a close really with my last question,
Yeah.
which I ask every guest and guests is this is the Bandwagon podcast. Is there a bandwagon that you want to jump off? Is there a bandwagon you want to jump on? Or is there anything that you want to get off your chest? This is your space to do so.
Navi, I'll let you go first. You're the rant king.
Dude, takes me a second to think about it. Bandwagon, I want to jump on, or I'm already
no, you don't have to. You don't have to jump on or off or anything. If there's something
you can just rant.
you can just rant. This is your space. This is your.
I feel like I've done that enough today. Let's see. I would say I'm on the trend of I'll just be selfish. I'll be real. This is my thing, and this has been my thing like recently, is it's okay to be selfish and look out for yourself and look out for your family. Just do it in a way that you're not hurting other people or affecting other people's lives, right? Like, I did a whole rant on the last episode about the Diljit like dancer controversy, and it was the same thing as like, nobody's saying the wrong thing here, guys. You guys all have your own perspectives and your own world about things. You guys have an art and you want to get paid, that's okay. Just don't be mad at somebody else who's okay doing it for the experience. And that person who's doing it for the experience, don't be mad at people who want to get paid. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to have differing opinions without hating on each other. Like, get that through your head. Like, it's very much okay as long as you're not trying to like bash or hate. Like, I'm seeing like posts of like don't lump us in with these people, and it's like, yo, relax, man. You all dancers. You guys are lumped in. Like, you guys do the same thing. That was just the most recent one where I was just like, this is so silly. Nobody's saying anything wrong. I genuinely did. I'm like, the Diljit's manager and Diljit, it's okay they didn't pay either, because that's the culture. The culture was like, yo, you just ask 50 dancers who's down to do it, and y'all say yes, y'all say yes. If you want to ask for money, you should have done that beforehand. Right? And don't blame the managers because they didn't pay you, because you didn't talk about money. If you did talk about money and then they stiffed you, that's them doing wrong. But like, you know what I mean? I think just as an overall in the world, you see that. Don't get mad at me for living the lifestyle I live as long as it's not hurting somebody. Don't be mad at somebody else for doing something else, right? Like, I feel like that's become a trend of the extremes we've talked about today. People want to talk about this and talk about that, live their life on this side or that side. You can do that without hating this guy over here. Like, you don't like let him. He's not doing anything to affect your life or change what you want to do. It's really that simple for me. Like, I know obviously like it gets more complicated in certain topics and how things go. And I think it gets really nasty and negative. And with social media, especially whenever something comes up that people have a divisive thoughts on one way or the other, it comes really, really easy to be like, instead of just being like, oh, I get it, but I don't agree, which I think anybody can do if you take a second to listen to what the other people are saying. Obviously, there's some topics in the world that nobody's ever going to agree on. That's fine. But my thing is, if as long as it's not hurting nobody, like don't lose your shit. Like, if everybody could be a little bit more understanding on the sense of like, I can do things my way, you can do your things way, and like just a little bit more love about the whole situation instead of like on social media, especially jumping at each other's throats over everything, left or right. The second something comes up, it's just like knives out. Let's go for it. Instead of just like, wait, why does he think that way? take a second, think about why the person might think the way they want to think. And I think the world might be a little bit better off for it, and less conflict would arise from the whole situations.
Damn, kumbaya speech.
Oh,
He's a
professional. Anuj, anything for you?
I was gonna go on a similar thought, but I'm gonna plug our podcast, man. Follow the Mic Cheque at the Mic Cheque. Navi Rai, Anuj D. Thank you so much for the opportunity, brother. I actually have a lot of gratitude for you for organically finding us and reaching out. Super humbled by the experience. I hope it was a good conversation.
Yeah.
Hope we get some views, and yeah, it was fun. Let's do this again. Let's do it in person. Kudos, boys. Bring one of us out, and then we can get the client to pay for us, and then we'll be on the podcast again.
Yeah, we'll get a couple things done. But you know what? That's the bandwagon. Jump on the bandwagon. Jump
On
literally
the
jump on the
bandwagon
bandwagon.
of the
That's what
bandwagon.
needs to be said, right?
There
Like,
you go.
Respect that.
it's nice to find somebody from a different country,
Yeah.
same background, obviously, but like to, again, find the similarities, find the people that we want to connect with and talk with. It's nice, like I said, like UK and Toronto, I feel like there's always a connection there.
It's always a
And
vibe.
especially if you're first, second generation, we understand each other to a level where it's like, man, if it wasn't for this social media thing, if it wasn't for this podcast thing, we never would have met. And that's a lost opportunity. I'm glad we got to connect. So much love to you, brother, for having us on. And
Nah, we'll definitely
this was
do it.
really
Yeah, I
fun
think
and a cool opportunity.
You know, I already know the hate we're gonna get for those comments now. The youngsters are gonna be like, "We're glazing him." Do you know what glazing is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds overtly sexual, and I'm not okay with it.
No, but you've seen that. You already know who's gonna do it from the.
I was hoping it.
Honestly, this was like, I think we talked for like 2 hours, bro.
Yeah. I just, you know, it is. It's just, you know, I just kind of bring it to a close. But you know, for what you're doing and from what I've seen, it's brilliant. I want, you know, people who are interested in pods, you know, to give it a go and have a look, and not to be, you know, have an open mind. You know, it's really good for podcasters to connect. You know, I definitely want to do this regular just to check in and see what's going on. Because people don't own spaces. We all can live in a space, and the art of conversation actually brings in there. You don't own the responsibility for what people kind of, what they're viewing and what they want to do. People have the choices, what they want to listen and do that. And I think when we do this, and especially with other podcasters, we have a responsibility of not to repeat the mistakes of what previous generations or different sectors do, where it becomes hoarding and it becomes a bit possessive. And I think when you have conversations like this, it really brings the world a little bit closer. And especially for people who are watching or listening, they might have another experience and remember where they actually got told to do that. And I think that is really, really important, that you just don't own people. You're just here just having a conversation. And if people like it, brilliant. If they don't, that's okay as well. And really enjoyed it with you guys. I wish you all the success for what you guys are doing.
Thank you, brother.
And just keep moving it forward and keep getting in there. So I'll leave it on that.
Appreciate
Much
it,
love,
brother.
brother. Much love.
All right, boys. See you in a bit.